opening with an upbeat, gentle, instrumental background. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to share a story that truly touched my heart, a powerful journey of healing, self-discovery, and finding love in the most unexpected places. It's about Claire, an artist, and her incredible transformation after life threw her a curveball she never saw coming. Imagine this. Claire had built her entire world around her marriage. 10 years, 2 beautiful children, a home filled with memories. Then, one day, her reality shattered. She discovered her husband had been cheating. No dramatic confrontations, no screaming matches, just a quiet, devastating realization. The evidence was undeniable. Hotel receipts, unfamiliar perfume, a telltale lipstick stain. When she confronted him, his only response was a resigned sigh. "I didn't mean for it to happen." That's all it took. That quiet admission was the final crack in a foundation she thought was solid. Claire didn't cry, then didn't scream. She just stopped feeling. It was a silence deeper than anything she'd ever known. So she left. She packed up her broken pieces and moved into a small apartment right above her art studio. Bare walls, cracked windows, the comforting, yet isolating smell of paint and turpentine. For the first time in years, she was truly alone with her thoughts. The silence that once promised peace now pressed down on her, heavy and suffocating, like a storm brewing just outside her window. She felt lost, invisible, even to herself. The vibrant woman she once was seemed to have vanished, leaving behind only echoes in a hollow space. Then, one ordinary afternoon, a little bell above her studio door chimed, and everything changed. A woman walked in with short dark hair, a leather jacket, and eyes that were like the ocean after a rainstorm, deep, thoughtful, and full of unspoken stories. "Hi," she said, her voice soft but incredibly sure. "Are you taking commissions?" Claire, still reeling from her own internal storm, blinked. Yes. What did you have in mind?" The woman smiled, a gentle, knowing smile. "A portrait of my grandmother. She passed away last month. Her name was Ivy." And just like that, a new chapter began, though Claire didn't know it yet. At first, Ivy was just another client, but she kept coming back, not just to check on the painting, but to simply be there. She started bringing coffee, then lunch, then stories that painted a world far beyond Claire's shattered one. Ivy was wild and wonderfully unfiltered, talking about backpacking through Europe, adopting stray cats, writing poetry she never showed anyone. Claire, who hadn't genuinely laughed in months, found herself laughing with Ivy. Ivy saw something in Claire that Claire herself couldn't see. One afternoon, as Ivy leaned against the window, watching Claire paint, she observed, "You look sad when you paint, like you're remembering something that hurts." Claire offered a weak smile. "Maybe I am." Ivy didn't press, but gently asked, "Want to tell me about it?" And Claire did. She poured out everything, the betrayal, the emptiness, the profound feeling of being invisible even when someone was looking right at her. Ivy listened, not the way people usually do, politely waiting for their turn to speak, but truly listened. Her gaze was steady, her presence unwavering. When Claire finally finished, exhausted by the weight of her own story, Ivy said quietly, with absolute certainty. He didn't deserve you. In that moment, a tiny crack of light appeared in Claire's carefully constructed wall of pain. Weeks melted into months. The portrait of Ivy's grandmother was finished, a beautiful tribute capturing a lifetime of love. But Ivy didn't stop visiting. Her presence in the studio became as natural as the scent of paint. One evening, Claire was closing up, her mind still lost in the day's creations, when she found Ivy still there. Ivy was sitting on the floor, surrounded by Claire's sketchbooks, tracing a finger over one of Claire's drawings. "You draw people beautifully," Ivy murmured, her voice soft with admiration. "But you never draw yourself," Claire admitted. "I don't know how to." Ivy looked up, her eyes steady and full of warmth. "Then let me show you how I see you." The air in the studio seemed to shift, buzzing with an unspoken energy. The world outside blurred, and all that mattered was the quiet intimacy of that moment. Ivy reached out, her fingers brushing Claire's wrist, hesitant, electric, a spark igniting something deep within Claire that she thought had died. "You're allowed to feel again," Ivy whispered, her voice barely audible but resounding in Claire's soul. Claire's breath caught in her throat. "I don't even know what I feel," she confessed. The truth of her emotional numbness laid bare. Ivy's response was a gentle invitation. "Then let's find out together." The kiss that followed was soft, trembling, unsure, two broken pieces testing if they could fit, if they could finally heal together. And when they did, the pain didn't magically vanish, but it finally made sense. It was a pain that paved the way for something new, something hopeful. After that night, everything began to change. Quietly, beautifully. Ivy started staying over. Her books appeared on Claire's nightstand. Her laughter began to fill the spaces where grief had once held silent dominion. They didn't label their connection. They didn't rush it. Instead, they let it unfold organically, like a new canvas revealing its colors layer by layer. Claire felt alive again, truly alive, as if color had returned to her world after a long, monochromatic winter. Yet, despite the burgeoning joy, she was still scared. Scared of what people would say, scared of the past she'd lost, and most of all, scared of what she might be starting, this fragile, precious new beginning. One morning, as the sunlight poured into the studio, painting everything in a golden glow, Ivy stood behind Claire, her arms gently wrapped around Claire's waist. "Do you regret it?" Ivy asked softly, her breath warm against Claire's ear. Claire looked at the half-finished painting before her, a woman standing in a vibrant garden, her face turned towards the sun. She realized, with a jolt, that the woman in the painting was her, a vision of her true self, seen through Ivy's loving eyes. "No," Claire said, turning in Ivy's arms, her voice clear and strong, finally free of doubt. "For the first time in my life, I don't regret anything." It was a declaration, not just to Ivy, but to herself, to the universe. Months later, the past tried to creep back in. Her ex-husband called. He'd heard she was seeing someone new. His voice was bitter, laced with a possessiveness that had once suffocated her. "Who is he?" he demanded, trying to reassert a control he no longer had. Claire smiled faintly, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. "She's someone you'll never understand." And with those words, that chapter was definitively closed. It was a powerful moment of reclaiming her narrative, her dignity, her future. On the anniversary of the day she left him, a day that once held only pain, Ivy surprised her with a brand new, pristine canvas. "What's this?" Claire asked, a warmth spreading through her chest. "Your next piece," Ivy said, her eyes shining with love and anticipation. "Paint what love looks like now." Claire picked up her brush, the familiar weight a comfort in her hand. She dipped it into the vibrant colors, not the muted tones of pain or betrayal, but the brilliant hues of warmth, of hope, of new beginnings. As she worked, lost in the flow of creation, Ivy sat nearby, humming softly, the afternoon sun painting gold across her face. Claire paused, watching her heart full in a way she hadn't thought possible again. Love, she realized, wasn't about who came first or who hurt you last. It was about who stayed, who saw her, truly saw her, past the pain and the scars, and still chose to stay. Ivy had. And in that beautiful realization, Claire knew she was home. What an amazing story of resilience, self-love, and finding unexpected joy, right? It reminds us that even when life knocks us down, there's always a chance for new beginnings and beautiful connections. If Claire's journey resonated with you, or if you've ever found strength in unexpected places, hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced a similar transformation? And do you forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on more inspiring stories and content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.